Hi, this is Anthony Hardy with Jefferson Davis Community College, bringing you another video in our series of videos designed to assist with the transition from our old email system, Scalix, to our new email system, Google Apps for Education. In our first series, we talked about how to read, send, and check your email, among other things. Now we'd like to cover the calendar system inside Google Apps. Once you're logged into your email, you can click on the calendar link, which is up at the top of the page. As you can see, we're still in the inbox here. The first time you log into the calendar system, it's going to ask you for your country, and it's going to ask you for your time zone. Once you've selected your time zone, you can now come into the calendar system. You can choose to set up working hours, and it will limit the number of hours that you will see on your week view, or you can say don't set up working hours. In this case, we're going to say don't set up working hours. The very first thing we want to do now is add an event. Once you know how to add an event, we'll cover some more advanced topics. Today is September 21st when I'm recording this video, and it's approximately 1 p.m. If I wanted to add an event at 2 o'clock tomorrow, I could simply click and add. By default, it's going to be a 1-hour event. If I accidentally click and don't want to add, I can now close that little pop-up window like that. If I want to add a 2-hour event, I can click and hold and drag until I reach how long I want the event to be, say 2 to 5. The simplest way to do this is simply type in a name for the event. This is a test event, and click Create Event. Now the event is created. If I wish to edit the event, I can click on the event, and it's going to bring me a larger window with more options so I can see how things happen. One of the nice things about Google when they do add new features is you can come up to the top and see how new features work. We're going to dismiss this message because we don't need it for now. If I want to add a location, I can simply add that. The neat thing about that in Google is if you add a full address, it will provide a map for you. So if we say 220 Alco Drive, Brewton, Alabama 36426, we can add a description. This is a test event that we are adding to our calendar. If there are attachments that are pertinent to this specific event, you can add those here. And then one of the best features in Google is the reminder. In Outlook, as all of our faculty and staff know, and many of the students may know, you can add only one reminder. And then you have to deal with the snooze button in Outlook and tell it to snooze for 5 minutes or an hour or whatever the case may be. Here you can add multiple. You can add an email reminder that will email you directly, or you can add a pop-up, or both. So I'm going to add a pop-up, and I'm going to say give me a pop-up 1 hour ahead of time. I'm going to add an email at 30 minutes ahead of time, and I'm going to add another pop-up 10 minutes ahead of time. As in most calendars, you have an option to show the time is available or busy. If you mark it as busy, then if someone else is attempting to schedule you for a meeting, they will see that as a busy block in your calendar. We'll cover that more in the advanced calendar session that we'll have later. If you mark it as available, of course, then they will see you as available. Privacy, our default is private, so your events will not be shared with others. You can make this public if you want. I highly recommend that you click the Learn More About Public versus Private Events down here and read more about that prior to making any of your events public. You can share calendars. Again, we'll cover that in the advanced section, but don't worry about that at this point. You can see that this event starts on September 21st at 2 o'clock and runs until 5 o'clock on September 21st. If I needed to repeat that, I could click on the repeat button. I can have it repeat daily, every weekday, etc., monthly, annually, and I can have it repeat only every 2 weeks, on Tuesday. You can repeat on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's a very nice recurring system. You can have it end on a specific date. So if it wants to end on November 1st, then it can end on November 1st. So the recurring items can be very nice to have. You can have no end date. Say you have a meeting every third Thursday of the month. You can set this up to do that and send you reminders before that meeting. If there is something that's going to be an all-day event, perhaps you have a conference you're attending, or you have a trip with one of your student groups or something along those lines, you can click all day and it takes the time out, and it will show up on your calendar as an all-day event. Again, we'll cover the guests and rooms, etc. Further at a later stage when we do a more advanced session on calendars. So let's go ahead and save that. And so we can see it now. It has the clock next to it to tell us that there are reminders. Something to keep in mind, you may want to have reminders set up for you by default. So you always want to get an email, or you always want to get some other sort of reminder on time, and you don't have to set them up every time. It would be very nice to simply click and then type in event name, whatever that name happens to be, click create event, and have your reminders already set for you. As you can see here, there are no reminders. If we go over to our calendar and we see our personal calendar here, our test date user calendar, and we go into the specific calendar settings for this, there is a notification among all the other settings that are here. There is a notification setting, and we can add default reminders. It can be a pop-up reminder at 10 minutes. You can add multiples, and it works really quite well. You can also have a daily agenda sent to you via email, and this is something that is very, very nice. You can set up your phone to receive notifications. If you do not have a smartphone, or you do not want to sync your calendar with your Google account, you can set it up to send them to you via text message. Of course, we're not going to go through that entire process here, but you certainly can set that up, and the instructions are very simple. You can simply click and follow. So I'm going to save that, so we'll by default get a 10-minute reminder. And if I want to delete this action, I can simply go into the event, click delete, and it is removed. The official place for setting up your mobile reminders is in the settings area. So we click on settings and calendar settings, and here's the mobile setup. There are tons of other settings that are in here. You can create other calendars, and you can share those secondary calendars instead of primary, etc., etc. And again, we'll cover all that in our advanced session. The mobile setup is really what we want to talk about here. You'd enter your phone number in, you'll send a verification code, you'll receive that via text message, then you will enter that verification code to finish setup, and then you will have the capability to have your phone notified even if it does not have smartphone capability, so that you can get your reminders while you're on the go. It's a very nice feature, very handy to have. One of the other settings, and this is the last piece we'll cover in our calendar setup, that I personally like, is to have the weather shown on my calendar. Not a big deal, but it's just very nice to have. So I can come into the Show My Weather based on my location in the General tab of the Settings page. Set it to Fahrenheit. If you want to learn Celsius, you could even set it to Celsius. We're going to set it to Fahrenheit. And then we're going to click Save. And now what we will see, if we reload our calendar, is we would see the settings there, and it would show us the weather. Now, one thing here you may want to take a look at is you can take a look at a specific day if you have a lot of items in your calendar. Of course, we've seen the week view, the month view, and by default the U.S. holidays calendar is included. So you can see Labor Day, Patriots Day. You can go to a 4-day view, or you can go to an agenda view, which can be helpful if you don't have a ton of items within your calendar. You can also use the navigation pane on the left to very easily migrate to different days. You can move immediately to December 1st that easily, and you can use the Today button to go back to the current day. If you are looking for a specific item in your calendar and you can't remember what day it was, or perhaps you put it on the wrong day, as sometimes happens, you can go to the search function of your calendars and search. We know we use the word test, and here is the test event. Clicking the plus gives you more details. We mentioned that it would give us a map. We can then click on map, and we're taken directly to Google Maps, and we now have a button right there where the Thomas A. McMillan Museum is, of course, which is where the college is. The name is incorrect, of course. We're Jefferson Davis Community College, but that's okay. And from there you can get driving directions, etc., etc., etc. All the wonderful things you can get. So we'll go back to our calendar. And that is the basics of the calendar system within the Google Apps for Education. Again, if you have any questions on the basics that we've just covered, please contact the JDCC Help Desk.